David Loughman, were you at all surprised that the judge ruled this way? His experience, as a prosecutor, he knows what it means to be dealing with national security issues, and that the legal team, the Trump legal team, stayed completely on the sidelines.
Well, Andrew, it is somewhat surprising. He's a former federal prosecutor. He, as a former prosecutor, has worked with agents to write search warrant affidavits. He knows the kinds of sensitive information that goes into them, and he recalls from his own experience how rare, if ever, a judge would release a search warrant affidavit while the investigation is still pending. But he's a judge now. He's not a prosecutor anymore, and he knows he has to compete. He has to balance competing interests here, and the public interest in a case like this could not be higher. So he's going to try to thread the needle. He's going to try to reach some accommodation that accommodates the government's legitimate law enforcement interests while providing some additional information to the public in the redactions that he orders.
And David, with all your experience dealing with classified information in these kinds of cases, although there's never been a search at a former president's house, are you surprised, that after more than a week of reporting, that it even took place? And the reaction to it, the fierce reaction against the FBI?
No. Look, this is a man who fomented violence against law enforcement, defending the United States Capitol during a perilous moment of our democracy on January 6th. He's doing it again. He is amoral. He clearly believes the law does not apply to him. And so he has chosen other weapons at his disposal to galvanize his supporters, to put pressure on the department, to put pressure on the FBI. And it's one reason why the department and the FBI are going to fight like hell to keep from being released information about law enforcement or about witnesses. Remember, this is a president who, according to reports, called a witness before the House Select Committee on January 6th who worked at the White House to influence the individual testimony before the committee. They will stop at nothing to try to suborn the rule of law in the justice process.
So, Ken Dilanian, at this stage, what should we be looking for next? We're going to have to wait a week, at least, to see what kind of redactions, and then there will be arguments over those, as you pointed out. And we're still waiting to hear, more from Trump world following that extraordinary, guilty plea yesterday from the most important person in the Trump organization, the chief financial officer.
Yeah, so many moving parts in terms of investigations touching on the former president, Andrew. One thing in the short term we're looking to see is whether the Trump family follows through on its threat to release the surveillance video that they say they took of the FBI agents searching the property. The FBI is very concerned about that because they don't want the faces of their agents broadcast for all the world to see. And they've asked news organizations to blur those faces in the event that happens. And I think, look, what I'm still looking for from the Trump team is what made their defense be. They've said that the president declassified these documents, but that doesn't explain why government records would be taken to Mar-a-Lago, why they think that's okay. I'd be interested in anything the lawyers could tell us about what their argument is for why it was okay for the president to have all these presidential records that most experts say, and the government clearly says, should have been at the National Archives, Andrea.
And speaking of that, David, the whole experience that you've had with presidents taking classified or unclassified national security documents home, any documents home, that are supposed to be stored in the National Archives.
Well, Andrew, I can't think of any circumstance in our history where a former president took classified information home. They have National Archives facilities available to them as ex-presidents where, according to established procedures, they can have access to classified information. But this is extraordinary. It is completely without precedent. There is no circumstance under law where it was proper or lawful for him to have classified material, let alone top secret code word material, at his home in Florida, period. And, they sought to conceal it. The false representations made to the National Archives by Trump or his representatives almost certainly exposes him and his representatives to further jeopardy by misrepresenting that there were no longer classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't get to just wave some magic wand or engage in some thought experiment in his head about whether he has just declassified this stuff. And the government is now going to go about its investigative business of confirming that these were, in fact, properly classified documents there, that they had not been declassified. and consider whether to exercise their prosecutorial discretion to criminally charge Mr. Trump or people close to him.
And although the 2 potential crimes cited in the search warrant, the 3 actually, do not require the documents to have been classified, what about his broad claim that he had a standing order to declassify documents when he went upstairs at night, bringing papers with him?
I mean, that's just nutty. First of all, we know that that's a complete post hoc fabrication. We know this is a president who's accustomed to fabrication, and a bevy of national security officials surrounding the president had no contemporaneous knowledge of any such standing order. This is an invention for public affairs purposes. That's all it is. There's no such thing. There are customs and practices surrounding how executive branch officials declassify documents. It's true that he had declassification authority, but it doesn't just exist in the abstract. He has to take contemporaneous, real, objective action memorialized in writing, and nothing like that is going to exist.